I work for the same organization, or whether there's a difference because there are different communities or different interests of mine, or whatever it is, different priorities or different, profit motivation, profit incentives, whatever it is, then you design mechanisms essentially to partition this information, and you need security mechanisms to do that. That's fundamental. So the foundation often of cybersecurity world is trust, right? So that's the fundamental thing. Now, look, I started my time at cybersecurity almost 35 years ago, and I used to have a supervisor in London University when I started the very first week. And I asked him, what is the definition of cybersecurity? And he told me it is about giving peace of mind. In fact, he went on to say giving peace of mind to paranoids. Because getting peace of mind is a pretty difficult thing, right? It's a relative thing, right? And cybersecurity is all relative. There is no such thing called absolute in security world. But giving peace of mind to paranoids is even more difficult. So can I show you, right? Security, is, and this is what we teach. And you asked the question about students and stuff. So the first thing that motivates a student is, so any problem that you are going to come across in the society, in your personal circumstances, in your family, in your profession, in your job, in your friends, it is going to have a security, trust, and ability to learn about what the hell this is about. Look, I can't, that should motivate somebody to say, hey, hang on, I want to understand more. And you see, probably now, the defining problem of digital, digital world or digital era or digital world at the moment is fake news. We are able to forge everything, anything and everything. And in fact, this is so fundamental that upon which rests democracy, the society, anything that you can think of rests on all of us or some of us or most of us sharing facts on which we can build on. If we all think we all have different facts, and that's what the digital world allows you to do, everybody can create his or her own truth in the digital world. And we've seen it pretty much. It's quite, you just got to look at the US elections or the US society at the moment. There are many, many truths. And, the houses in one side of the street believe something is black, and houses on the other side of the street can still believe something is black. And in fact, tech companies are able to aggravate this problem by able to feed in information on one side of the street with one type of information and completely different information on the other side of the street, or even partition the group's society in such a way that fine granular manner I can feed this information. So the other part, which is very, very important, which relies on this trust foundation that I talked about, is the ability to have an understanding of shared facts, shared truth. And that also forms the foundation of many things. But coming back to your question, look, for students or people getting to, jobs market in this world, in now and in the future, I think cybersecurity is more than technology. Technology, yes, is a key part to it, but there is the technological part, and of course, Prashant was talking about corporate, right? And there are the businesses, and we have, when I say business, the financial sector, the utility sector, the defense sector, the critical infrastructure, the telco sector, all sorts of sectors. They all have slightly different requirements and different. So there's no monolith. Just like we are different, we are heterogeneous in the world. These sectors are different. The platforms are different. The products in each of these platforms are different, and that poses amazing issues with respect to making these systems and products interoperate in a secure way. By the way, I still haven't defined what is security. Leave that aside for a moment. So there's
you still have to come back to my question for students.
Yeah, the students. So there are 3-4 pillars. So then there's the legal aspects, because cybersecurity has got the legal issues, whether it is to do cross, boundaries with international regulations, or as well as privacy, as well as encryption laws or security laws. And there are a lot of legal aspects and the social aspects with respect to students. So your question is, there are 2 questions in my view, at least, what motivates students and where should we start and where are the jobs going to be? Well, what motivates students, in my view, is problems that they can recognize which affects them. So, for instance, if I were to send, students, using social media, if I were to send a picture of Bollywood actress, and it's a fake one, and what attracts young students may be examples of whether it is the Bollywood actress being fake, a Bollywood picture, or your accounts being withdrawn, or your friend saying something but then denying he never said it, or your friend saying that you said something and which you have never said in your life, or creating a picture of you in a compromising situation and you have never had this picture taken. So all this will incentivize students to say, look, I need to make sure that doesn't happen to me. So I'll give you a very basic example. I used to work with a minister not so long ago. I won't say which minister or which country at the moment, but and he was not a believer in cybersecurity. But one day what happened? His mobile phone got hacked, and obscene messages started being sent from his mobile phone to people in his contact list. And then he started believing the need for security, the need for understood privacy matters. So, but anyway, so going to students, that is, yeah. Sorry.
So I think what you're making an important point, that it's the context that we need to set for students, because cybersecurity is everywhere, whether you're studying, whether it's a legal perspective or whether it's a social perspective. I think the social media analogy or example you gave is really very telling and important, to say it's everywhere and you are going to be affected by it if you're not thinking about it. I think that's one of the shifts in conversation that need to happen to really make it relevant for youngsters to look at careers in cybersecurity. So Gautam, coming to you, when you say making a career in cybersecurity, that's on one side, because that's what this panel is about. On the other hand, we are hearing Prashant say that every job has an element of cybersecurity. We hear Vijay saying that everybody needs it. Cybersecurity is actually is just life everywhere. But what about careers in cybersecurity? How do you start? Where do you begin? How do you attract? What do you tell people when you want them to pick up careers in cybersecurity?
Okay, so connecting what Prashantji said and what Professor Varadarajan said. So first, we have seen already, right, that the students had to feel that they are going to be the victims if they do not follow the security rules and all that. And in their daily life, they are also users of secure systems, starting from, going to ATMs, going to the banks, or, buying something from Flipkart or Amazon, like with their credit cards and all that. And also, medical domain, there is medical privacy and all that. So these things, first of all, we have to make aware. And another important thing that I would like to touch upon, which is connected, is that the background the students need. So often the students do not have much knowledge. Sometimes they feel, okay, we need to be very good in mathematics or statistics to be having a career in cybersecurity. But I personally feel that it is not so. Students from all backgrounds have an opportunity to do something, to play some role in the cybersecurity space. Okay, so for example, if someone is designing an encryption algorithm, right, or an encryption primitive, then probably a background in mathematics is required. On the other hand, if someone is working on, let's say, cryptanalysis, right, let's say cryptanalytic attacks on systems, then probably a background in statistics would be helpful. However, if someone is very good in programming, someone does not have good mathematics or good statistics background, but someone has developed good programming skills, so someone can implement a good cybersecurity system, right? If someone is from, let's say, AI background or machine learning, if someone's favorite, still that person can do a lot of things, because we have a lot of classification problems and prediction problems in cybersecurity space, starting from intrusion detection, malware detection, face recognition, in crime scene detection, and image analysis, and all sorts of things, right? So even from arts background, people from arts background, like who have knack and who have the understanding of how cybersecurity works. We have something or other. So let's say user interface, right? Let's say user of cybersecurity. So we need a good user interface, good user interface design. And often we have seen that students who are coming from arts background or design background, they do well in UID, a good user design. So in my view, everyone has scope, everyone has opportunity. They just need to grab it, and they just need to hone their own skill and find the right connection with the career, right? So from all background, students can enter into this this facet of cybersecurity, and they can have different careers that suits their background and their training.
So this is actually turning out to be a very universal conversation. We are saying that all jobs have an element of cybersecurity. Right. We're saying life is, all about thinking about cybersecurity. You're saying anyone with a different backgrounds have different opportunities. And so this was the other question that came to us to say, coming back to the communication problem, are we not messaging this whole cybersecurity thing well enough? And there have been a lot of moves of introducing AI to children in schools and coding, the new app that has got launched, a new platform where children at 8 or 9 years old can start coding. So is there and this is my question to Vijay, to say, do we need to start driving this message of security in schools and starting early and communicating this early, so that by the time people grow up and decide to make their careers or think about it, it's already socialized in their minds?
Absolutely. In fact, this is perhaps all around the world. This is one of the areas where not only Department of Education and government, but also generally, schools are getting into it. For instance, we sort of in Australia, for instance, we have in year 7 and year 8. So we have a program called iSTEM, which is called bringing science, technology, engineering, mathematics from year 6 onwards. And then we have introduced, so I wrote part of the curriculum there to introduce cybersecurity into this. When you say cybersecurity, what is security? Basically, Gautam talked about arts. If you take, for instance, psychology, which people are more prone to be duped in phishing messages, right? So this is something year 6, sixth graders can learn easily. Don't get duped. Be careful when you give your information, whether it's your picture that you send over over Instagram, or whether you send a message. Be careful who you're sending to. It's almost like don't talk to strangers. That type of for young kids of 3-year-old, 4-year-olds. So this idea of introducing security programs from at least from year 6 onwards is sort of very prevalent or very talked about nowadays in many countries. So yes, it is important, but the students, as you said, you have to, I'm talking about students a little bit at a higher level, say year 11, 12 students. You also need to entice them about problems in the world, which they may be attracted to, future problems. For instance, the hottest topic in town, even at least from my perspective in the world at the moment, is intersection of AI with cyber. So, AI, AI is in almost its 4th generation, by the way. So currently when we talk about mainly AI, the thing which is really attractive at the moment is the machine learning part of it, deep learning part of it. And so essentially these algorithms may tell you some answers. You give a bunch of data and they learn from the data rather than by algorithm. They derive the algorithms based on data. And then they give you the answer as to, this is a cow, this is a cat, this is a picture, this is this guy, so on and so forth, classification, clustering, and so on and so forth. But the thing which makes life very, very intriguing and interesting at the moment in this is this intersection of cybersecurity with the AI, because remember, you take the answers these algorithms give, these machine learning algorithms give, take it for granted because it is very difficult to verify or at least explain or interpret these algorithms because they are very complex. So we take the answers for granted. So if you show a picture of X-ray and say, is there a tumor in this? And then the machine learning algorithm tells you, there's a probability that it is there, 98, 99, 99.5%. You take it for granted. So the thing with the cyber, so where the students or where the people with the cyber sort of key thing for cyber for me is critical thinking and logic. So when these people look at this thing, hang on, how can I cheat these algorithms? How can I make these algorithms give you the wrong answer? And but once this happens, all of these systems go down because your answers are wrong. So the decisions you make using those answers are wrong. So the hottest topic in town at the moment is this intersection of machine learning and cybersecurity. And this is applicable in a range of areas. Take one of the sort of the upcoming areas at the moment is smart autonomous systems, smart vehicles, right? Whether it is the electric, the smart cars, or whether it is autonomous drones flying around or autonomous spacecraft. Every country has got interest in all of these things, and there are lots of potential, businesses and industry to spring out of these types of autonomous things. And these autonomous things make decisions. Make decisions independently. That's the whole reason they are called autonomous. And now we can, if we cheat them, if we make these autonomous systems do the wrong thing, whether they do the wrong thing, here's the beauty of it with cyber world, when they do the wrong thing, it is wrong thing with respect to certain people. You see, government may think it is right, or one group of people may think it is right, but it may be wrong to you. So these are all, there are philosophical questions, policy questions, what is wrong, what is right. But the fact to recognize that they are doing wrong things is a technical question. And to be able to deal with them is actually another technical question. And to implement them, to execute them, to manage them, and to dynamically update them as things evolve, that's a very, very difficult question in a large network systems of systems world where the education system software is talking to immigration software, which is talking to the Centrelink or the welfare software systems. God, life becomes very complex. And these problems, the problems will be faced by the future students. This is where all the are. Right. Yep. So I think sometimes it's endless, the opportunities are.
I know. And I think by listening to you talk, I am thinking if I wasn't so old, maybe I'd go and look for a career in cybersecurity. Because, I mean, literally the way you guys are talking about it, and I'm, as a layperson also, even I feel that security and data privacy and all that is underlying everything now. I mean, we're all on apps all the time. So what you're talking about, the endless opportunity. And in fact, there's a question from the audience which you answered while you were talking about this intersection of AI and cybersecurity, and will AI take over cybersecurity? From what I understand from you is it will not take over, but cybersecurity and AI need to intersect and work together to make the algorithms more secure and dependable.
Yeah, can I just add one line? Yes, you see, security has got two sides to the coin. You design systems and these systems get attacked. So AI is useful on both sides.
Yeah,
it helps the attackers as well as the designers. It doesn't help just one bit. It is who is cleverer.
Yeah. And so, Prashant, this is almost currently it's still science fiction stuff because, all these things that we're talking about, everything intersecting with everything and impacting everything and deep learning and learning from each other. What's this means? People have to really get deep into this and get into research. But this is the other challenge that I think we are facing in India, at least, that we don't have enough people getting into research on cybersecurity. And what Vijay has said and what Gautam has said, this is not going to just happen by magic. It is going to be something that we have to create. So how, is there enough research being done and, or is it that we're just relying on things that come out of a box and not doing anything on our own in India? What is your view on that?
So, pretty good question. I think both of it. Now, before answering that, I would say that, there is no age bar, Kirti, to get into cybersecurity. So,
learning.
Experience matters, and then that experience can be put in anywhere. So, and yes, and in terms of research topics, what happens to answer both the coins of sides of the coin is, if you look at it, the current businesses that are requesting some kind of cybersecurity activities to be performed are mostly, most of the organizations are requesting state-of-the-art requirements. So there are some immediate gaps or immediate patches that are required to be, plugged or shut. So that's when these UC spur in some kind of requirements of cybersecurity engineers, analysts, consultants. Suddenly it comes up. So why? Because there are some needs some basic fundamental stuff is not being done at the initial stages. That's why you see that the state of the art is yet to catch up in the organizations, most of them. So in this case, what happens to the research, and why, where there is there any research topic that should be coming out? So in that sense, being a research group head myself, I would say that some research organizations are collaborating with universities and with the government bodies. Now recently, if nobody knows about it or someone has already had this information, there is something called as Technology Innovation Hub that is being created by Government of India, and that Technology Innovation Hub has got several topics into it. And I, as a cybersecurity person, would see that all the topics, may be autonomous, vehicle infrastructure to be created, or cybersecurity as a topic in the Technology Innovation Hub is one of the topics there. So lots of such topics. I would see cybersecurity in each of these topics. And then IISc, Indian Institute of Science from Bangalore, is collaborating or has owned already this topic of autonomous infrastructure. So what does it mean? Let's take the research topics that the people are working on in this cybersecurity technology innovation hub, or a group of it, is there is an aerial vehicle, there is a drone. Nowadays there are advertisements that are coming up from Amazon that packets are being dropped. So scientific, sci-fi kind of stuff. It looks so cool. I mean, it's people are nobody is there involved, and then the drone itself carries the packets and then delivers into the houses. Imagine an attack on that. What could be that attack? And that attack would be something of routes. You route it to somewhere else, and then or deliver some packets which are not required by some person to them instead. And then here what is happening, you are invading the complete database, the privacy of users, the route metrics of a device, and some other attacks that could be possible is draining out the whole energy on the platform of the drone. And it is like, you are literally attacking a drone which is doing its job, by what Professor Vijay was talking. Absolutely, he gave a very good example of attacking a particular AI. This is the talk of the town, and I think smart infrastructure and the overall, even the topic of IT and OT convergence. Now OT is something like operational technologies that are being conducted by, these people like manufacturing industries. You talk of power grids. These are all the places where cybersecurity is requiring some help there. These were never designed to be secure, to be in the initial stages. So I think research definitely is required into these areas. And then how good it would be if you are the person to handle such attacks, which are like, taking a drone to somewhere else. If you are controlling it, saying that, oh no, this is not the right signals for me to take in, so I will do whatever I want. Edge device, it's an edge device, and then it is taking itself a kind of decision. It's on its own into some area, and it takes decision of cybersecurity on its own. And if you are somebody who can do that, that's the cool stuff. And I would say that research is definitely required, and research is happening in India, and that too from the government of India's help, which was never there in last 20 years. I've never seen such things happening. So which is happening, it's going very, very good, I would say. And I think research is the topic for cybersecurity.
So I think that's good to hear that you feel that it is happening. And I just go to Gautam to say, Gautam, what do you see? Prashant is sounding very optimistic, and that's very good to hear coming from the business world. And he's saying the government is contributing, it's making an impact. Is very good thing. Do you concur? And I'm adding to that question to say, if we need to drive more people to research, what do we need to do? There seems to be a lot to do.
Yeah,
clearly.
So thank you, Prashantji, for setting the backdrop of what I'm going to say. So what Prashantji just said, I am a witness. I'm one of the witnesses of that happening around in India. So as an example, let's say my institute, Indian Statistical Institute, was one of the prime organizations supporting the government in the cryptography and security infrastructure from the very beginning, let's say 25 years or 20 years back from now. But at that time in India, mostly this crypto system or security system was in the by defense, was used by defense, and slowly it was coming into non-defense or in the civil sector, but the transition was slow. Now, having said that 20 years back, and if I see it now, there has been a lot of evolution, right? So, for example, government has set up an RCBO Center for Security and Cryptology and Security in our institute. That is a formal setup. But before that, we have been organizing summer schools in, or summer internships in cryptology from all over India. So around 30 to 50 students used to come every year in the summer, and that's still happening, right? So now we see last few years Microsoft taking interest, and they are funding that internship. And this model of our institute is being now replicated in other institutes as well, right? And what we did from our institute, that at least in the eastern zone of India, we went to different schools, high schools, particularly like class at the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th standards of any board. The board does not matter whether it's CBSE or ICSE, whatever. So we went there and we tried to hold a one-day workshop, right? So we invite 3-4 schools, and we hold a one-day workshop. We have different talks, maybe one talk by a professor, one talk by a research student, another talk by an industry person, and another student by, let's say, from the police department or the defense department, or let's say the banking sector, right? Who are the users of this thing? And then we try to motivate the students about what we have been discussing, right? What Professor Varadarajan is saying, what Prashantji is saying, right? That, okay, security is everywhere. This is how you need it. And this is why you need to study it. This is why you need to understand it. So at that point of time, see, they are just starting to develop their own interest, right? They are starting their probably their higher education career. Like they have not yet decided whether they will go into arts or science or commerce. But just by making them realize that it does not matter which discipline you go, there are a lot of things to do. There are a lot of things to be applied, and kind of everything has a context in cybersecurity. Everything that you do. So that we are part of that awareness program. At least in Eastern India, we have been doing it for many years. But I think this is right time that government of India needs to take this into a formal structure. So this is happening slowly, definitely, but it needs to be more formalized, and we'll be happy to be working in that setup.
So thank you, and I have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to just make a concluding. At least what I'm taking away from this session is that we do need to do a job of communicating what the opportunity is, what the necessity is. I think the necessity is coming across loud and clear, that it is across all jobs, all roles. It is across your individual, your life. And to your point, Gautam, about starting young, I think the workshops that you're conducting in schools to make them realize that what it is, so we can bring this message out there. The other big point that I'm taking away from this panel is it doesn't have to be all about maths. You don't have to be one geeky nerd. There is a role for everyone to play. One of the subjects that nobody mentioned, but I'm picking up from what Vijay said, is that it's really philosophical as well, because when you have decisions to be made, whether it's AI, making it at the intersection of AI and security, it's a philosophical decision. Sometimes there is no right and wrong. It depends on which side of the fence you're sitting on. So can I just have a concluding remark from each one of you, literally 2 or 3 sentences, if you were to give a message to people out there, young people out there, to look at careers in cybersecurity, what would you want them to think? Starting with you, Gautam, since you're the youngest of the lot.
Okay. I think the students need to think that, cybersecurity is part of life, is part of their education, and it is going to be part of their career, no matter what they pursue. So even if they do not directly work in cybersecurity, either in the research domain or in the industry domain, even if their job profile is something else, right? It's not directly related to cybersecurity, but they are part of a system, both in their personal life and in their professional life, which has a component of security. Or if not now, everything is going to have that component. So they must be aware of it. And if they're interested, there is always scope that they can contribute. So that's
So,
the message.
so I'm going to make a plug for the Future Skills Prime platform on this one, saying that since it's everywhere and you need to build awareness, this platform is available to all Indian citizens. The website is up there, futureskillsprime.in. This is a Government of India and NASSCOM initiative, really to communicate, to build awareness. So there's some very nice short nugget pathways on why cybersecurity, why is it important, what can it do, different aspects of cybersecurity. So I would encourage people to go in there and take a look. And over to you, Vijay.
Okay. Look, yeah, I'll tell you at least three things when you're thinking about if you're a young person. Please, look at, problem solving. Think about, it doesn't matter cybersecurity, think about problem solving. That's the first thing you've got to think all the time. And the second thing is, because we are in the digital world, think about the information that you're sharing with. What is your information? Who are you sharing with? How are you dealing with it? So think about digital information. That's the second bit. Problem solving is the first one. The third one, which will be really useful for cybersecurity guys, is think of always a system that is more than one component. So it doesn't matter whether the system is two people talking to each other or two products talking to each other, two organizations talking to each other, but think about a system, because we are living in the world of systems of systems. So if you think of problem solving, things connected together, and think about what digital information that you're transferring between these entities, I think you got a long way to lay the foundations of future cybersecurity professionals.
That's really well said, because this interconnectedness has just become so real and so visible, especially with this, pandemic hitting us and all of us just now connected through this digital pipe. And given that everything is now connected to the digital pipe, and any, if I can call it, virus of the cybersecurity attack can just go in there and through these veins and get to infect anything. I think there's so much
similarity between pandemic and cybersecurity world. That's a whole topic. Yeah.
That's a whole new topic. We need another new conference. Prashant, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I would like to bring a little bit specific to this one, what Sir Gautam and Sir Vijay spoke about. I would want to say that to enjoy all of that, topics in one's life, maybe use some already available platforms like Capture the Flags that are available when you just type Capture the Flags on Google, you'll get to know what are those platforms, and then start playing those. I mean, these are these gamified ways of making you understand what's cybersecurity and disconnected systems, how they interact with each other, what are the issues there. I think start picking up those games. It's no harm. I mean, you don't have to show it to somebody that you're passing or failing. You just have to play, and then register yourself. Enjoy the hackathons that are coming up. I think those are the objectives that one should derive out of this, and then say that okay, I did something. Then interest develops a lot, because you're seeing yourself doing something over there. It is a demo version of it. It's a gaming version of it, but you still get a piece of it. I think that's the two things that I would say. Yeah.
Very, very practical, very fun, and doable by everybody. Yeah. So thank you very much. I think this has been a wonderful discussion. I hope we can take some sound bites from this panel and actually use it to communicate to people some of the very cool ideas that all of you have talked about. Even if the video bites are not so great, please allow us to reach out to you to actually capture some of the comments that you all have made so we can use them to evangelize this idea. So thank you so much. And I will now hand it over back to Anand. Thanks, Anand. I think this was a great discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirti.
Thank you. Thanks to all the panelists for our knowledge enriching session. Audience are requested to switch to Auri 1 for the address. Thank you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.